So here's what our scene looks like so far. Now we're going to do a couple of things that are going to make it look even better. And the first is just to put some surfacing on this dialogue. Okay, you don't want this as a main element. It's just, the main thing you want to focus on is the logo and everything else. Now we're going to go in and we're going to fix that solution summit and the S a little bit, just so they each stand out on their own. Definitely like the reflections and everything on there. But first, let's get back here to the dialogue. We're going to come down here to our material manager and hit New Material. Double click it. And we'll open that up and we'll call this dialogue material. Okay. And what we're going to do with this is go down to transparency and turn it on. But we're not going to make it just entirely transparent. We're going to make it partially transparent. And the way we're going to do that is with a gradient. Okay. Select the gradient and just change it to the V, like that. Okay. And just to see how this looks, go ahead and drop that on the dialogue. Do a render. And look what we get. Very nice fade all the way down. Now you can go ahead and change the gradient just a little bit. So that might not be as strong. Bring it down just a little. But what's really neat about this is that you still get shadows cast on that red tube in the back. And again, we're going to animate this left to right. We're going to have solution summits coming around. The big S is just going to be floating there, and this guy will be moving. So let's put a background in so you can see how this will play in the final animation before we make some changes to it. So come up here to the main area here, and we'll add a background. Okay. And for the background, what's neat about this is we can create our own material for it. So we'll come over here to File, New Material. Double click again. This is our background. Just go PKD. And simply for the color, we're also going to add a gradient. So hit Texture, Gradient, select the gradient, and we're not going to do black to white. We are going to do blue. Just double click this guy. And the blue is always a really nice looking logo color. Okay, so we're going to go blue to white, and we also want it vertically on the V. Okay, we're going to take that background and, of course, dump it onto the background. Command R to render, and now we've got that blue to white gradient. This down here is actually the edge of our frame, so don't worry about that just yet. Now you can get a better idea of where this dialogue is coming in before you fade it out too much. All I really want to do is actually just change the color a little bit. So come back to dialogue, open up the dialogue texture, and actually make sure you deselect in here. Open up the dialogue. We can change the color a little bit too. Might want to go red or blue. It's totally up to you. I think I'm going to go blue. You can come back to the transparency and also give that just a blue color. Like that. Pull this down to a quick render. Now you can see you got that blue in there. Looks kind of neat. The other thing you can do, if you don't quite like how that gradient looks, you can shape it a little bit. Like this. Grab that guy there, click in here, double click and make that white. And that way your gradient fades off at the top too. Just gives it kind of a different look. You can then even take this guy here and make it not so black but a little more gray. And what's that going to do? Well, it's going to soften that a little bit so it's not so harsh. Okay, because the white area is making it transparent, the black area is making it solid, making it opaque. So just a little variation there. You can change it to your liking. If you want to just pull these out just a little bit, you can do it like that. Do a little Command R to render. Just totally up to you how you want to do that. So, all right, I'm going to leave that one. That's working pretty well for us. Now we're going to add one more element in the back. And then we're going to put everything in motion. But before I do that, let's just enhance this solution text a little bit. I'm going to close my layer browser just to give us some room. Open up the bevel here, and here's the front. Okay, that's the front surface there. Let's zoom in so we can see what's going on. Okay, I like how the solution summit looks, but I just want it to stand out just a little bit more because that's the main title. Now we have a surface on the bevel, and if you select one of these here, you can see that we've got our surface 1 selection R1 for that first bevel. So if I create a new material altogether, maybe take this bevel and Command C, Command V, copy and paste, and we call this solution face. Okay, just make a variation of this, or even use the same values. Put that in the solution text, and then I take the front surface for it. Give myself a little bit of room there so I can see. There we go. Take the front and make that the selection. That will just make those front polygons stand out a little bit better. And the sides are still dark and picking up the red and everything else. Okay. And of course you can go in and change that shader, make an entirely new material if you like. It's totally up to you. Alright, so let's move on to the next video. We're going to add just a little bit more in the background so it's not so plain. And then we're going to set up our animation and render away.